Hi, this is and for everyone watching, this is Scott, aka Thank You White Knights. But you haven't heard much from myself lately, and I think Eva as well. But Eva's the most important thing here, and what's going on with her and Bill. So with that, I'll just let you take the floor. Eva, we did see that update through American Kabuki .blogspot.com, I think, where you said you were having a rough time. You know, I mean, you're just ready to do something very important that I've been trying to get you to do for a long time. Um,
Yes, and
yes,
it's February 18th, 2013,
yeah,
and I think it's fitting. Um, we've been on this roller coaster for a year now,
yeah,
and it started, thank goodness, with your help. So it's, as we're getting close to hopefully a resolution, I think it's fitting that we catch up with one another and just get this chapter documented. So I'm very grateful for your opportunity to work together again. So there's so much to tell everyone. One of the things that has been the hardest on me is trying to um, stay emotionally grounded and keep up with the pace of the legal system, the hurry up and wait, and then the ping-ponging of it. Your expectations are one thing and then it's something else, and it's just a horrendous machine that grinds people and spits them out, and it's basically human trafficking. And this is what one of the topics we're going to talk about today is what I've come to learn in this year, through bearing witness to what Belle's gone through. But let's see, where do I start? That's the problem. Recently, I'll just do a recap of what's been happening. When Heather Tucci came out, about a month before that, I was contacted by a lady who I'm not going to mention her now. I've mentioned her before, but I'm just going to leave it. And she basically has gone through her own traumatic experiences, and well, actually, I kind of have to mention her. Okay, so basically I was contacted by Cindy Brewer, and we started talking about her experiences through her life, which has led her into the knowledge of HR 3474, the Regal Act of 1984. And I've done a sequence of interviews with Cindy, 3 or 4, and the first one was probably the most impacting, where she talks about the fact that the monetary system has been backed by the human DNA genome and the Human Genome Project, and how her DNA was particularly of interest to certain people because of the certain strand activation that she had that made certain aspects of herself, her body, able to recover from a whole gamut of issues.
illnesses,
Mm-hmm.
diseases.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And basically, from my understanding, her body will go into almost like a coma and shut down all the visceral, shut down except for visceral organs function until the toxin is excreted through the urine, and then she wakes up, which is really interesting. And through her experiences, she's had, I will encourage everybody to look into this. She's had her recourse through the legal system and learned quite a bit. She's quite the savant. Now, what happened was I was given some direction on how to help Bill, and I shared that openly with the people whose house I was staying in for the last year. And under my idea was that they were friends and to be trusted. And this is really hard for me.
That's
What um, what I've come to realize, which is really interesting actually, is one of the biggest sources of contention between Bill and I in this last year is that he feels he was set up. And I was kind of in observer mode and didn't label anything and just kind of was like, oh, you know, maybe he's just paranoid and I don't blame him. But unfortunately, I think he's right. And it hurts me to say that. And I really don't
why.
really believe it.
Oh,
And I'm still going through the process of, I guess, analyzing or going over it in my head and, you know, processing emotionally and whatever. But basically, when I was given this paperwork, I'm a very honest person. I'm a hyper honest person, and I started sharing what was happening with this lady whose house I was in, and she's also connected to the people who brought Bill to that area in the first place. And basically what happened is, as I got closer, and then Heather Tucci came out, and I started looking into Heather Tucci's paperwork, and as I got closer to being effective and actually putting, you know, some rubber, getting some traction and trying to apply things, all these wrenches got thrown into my living conditions on purpose, I feel. Transportation was removed. The hot water tank was removed. The pipes froze within 72 hours of the hot water tank being removed because of, you know, I can only guess that the recirculation pump and the radial heat, you know, apparently, you know, it could be any.
Were you up in the snow in the mountains or
I
something?
was up in the mountains. I was about an hour out of town, and to have no transportation up in an acreage that's about a 35-minute walk one way to a store to get fresh drinking water, and to have no running water for over 2.5 weeks, and to be made to feel guilty like I was a baby for feeling that in the 21st century that was unacceptable, especially when there was, you know, an 87-year-old man in the house, and I'm having to, you know, melt snow, to flush toilets and do dishes. And so I hung in there for about 2.5 weeks until it hit me, and it was just like, yeah.
Been lied to. You've been
Kind
set
of
up.
both.
Yeah.
And so that was really hard. And thank goodness I have a wonderful team of goddesses who are just godsends, and they are my admins on Facebook, and they have been diligently working with me 24/7, checking in and helping me systematically approach all the different things that I had to do, which was try and find a way to not only get myself and this man out of this house into some kind of accommodation in the city, but to get my belongings, his belongings, Bill's car that had broken down, you know, find assisted care, find financially a way to do this, you know, with no one in town. I've kept to myself in that region for safety purposes and just so I can stay grounded and focused on what I need to do and not get distracted. I don't really have a lot of people in that area that I know. So it's been crazy, but thank goodness there's been beautiful people in this world who step up and, you know, there's one person in particular, and he is in the UK, and I won't say his name, but I'll say thank you to him because he actually, he started working with me to help me, you know, get options on how to approach getting Bill out of jail. And, there's different ways. There's the surety bonding. There's all these different things that are out there that you can look into. What ended up happening is when Bill and I started talking about how to approach this, the very first thing was for me to get my son back to Canada. And this person from the UK actually helped us do that. And Bill made the judgment call that that was to happen before any paperwork was approached. So I just want to say thank you to that person. Because of his help, I was able to get my son back to Canada before all of this craziness started happening in the home, and he's still there now. So he's been out of all of the last, little whiles circumstances, and thank God. But it kind of makes me think that he was the buffer that
you needed.
Well, I think he actually provided a level of a buffer, my son being there, that once he was gone, that's when they started
downhill.
Like the jaws started closing on me. And then I was like, all of a sudden my eyes woke up and I was like, okay, I'm like in the belly of the beast and the jaws are about to snap.
Your physical angel left you, basically. Your son.
And it's hard. It's really hard because I thought these people were my friends and I care about them still to this day. So, Okay, so here's an update. With the help of American Kabuki and all of the wonderful people who've been following Bill and I over the last year, who I've managed to somehow keep up to date on what's going on, because the hardest thing for me right now is when I get those emails that's like, hey, Eva, what's going on? Where's Bill? I'm like, oh, no, nobody knows. He's in jail and failing. And it's like so hard. If I don't do YouTube, then it doesn't seem like it hits the way it should. So just to update everyone on what's transpired, Bill has gone through 2 public defenders, and he had a trial, a jury trial on December 5th, 2012. At that jury trial, his second public defender, who we were hoping, Bill was hoping, to have his speedy trial and to show, justice and the constitutionality and, amendment rights and ex post facto and all of these things that he believes in his country, were drastically pulled out from underneath his feet at the last minute. His lawyer basically encouraged him to go on the stand first, testify first, and this was like right as her portion of the trial was starting. It was like a bait and switch, like, oh, Bill, I think you should probably get on the stand and testify first, because that would be great, and for all these other witnesses that he had, 5 other witnesses that were supposed to be interviewed and testify, and this was at the last minute, and Bill was like, okay, if you think, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. It'll be great. It'll be good. Oh, yeah. So he testifies, and of course, as soon as he's done, she gets pulled over side by one of her teammates or counsel people from her firm, and they basically tell her that the prosecutor was out the night before with the 5 witnesses and that she should rest her case, and instead of like calling for a sidebar with the judge and the prosecutor, she basically dismissed the 5 witnesses and rested the case. She asked Bill, what do you think? And it was a train wreck. It was horrible, but you know what? It was meant to be that way. And what it shows is that we have much like we walk around this world thinking that Hollywood, for majority of our lives, we thought Hollywood is one thing, and we think that the government is one thing, and we think that terrorism is one thing, and thank goodness our consciousness is starting to wake up, and we realize that there are false flag attempts that are started by the people that we look to for our protection. We start to realize that systematic ritualistic abuse, sexually and physical abuse, is the foundation of a lot of the organizations that we have governing our societies. The church, political parties, governments, judicial systems are all based on this like MK Ultra mind control system that then they piggyback off of. And we've been clueless forever, right? Well, the thing about the judicial system is, you get your court documents and you look at them and you go, okay, case number, blah, blah, blah. Plaintiff versus the defendant. And in Bill's case, it's William Brockbrader, right? Well, then, 3 months later, it changes. It's not against William Brockbrader. It's against William N. Brockbrader. And then it'll shift to Mr. Brockbrader. And, like, you get a range of all caps to mixed caps. And what's happening is that we look at these pieces of paper and we see what we have been told to see, which is, the constitutionality and the integrity of the concepts of right and wrong being effectively transpiring in a court of law. Yeah, that's not what's happening in these documents. These documents are security agreements. They're basically telling you, when you see the names change, when your name changes from all caps to mixed caps to adding in a letter, those are all like new security agreements that they've opened up and are new baby bonds that they're now.
Exactly. I was going to say, they're trying to access more money through the different. Exactly.
Yeah. And they're trading you, a slave, on the stock market. You are now a liability, and your account, your estate, is no longer safe for commodity in the free world. You're now going to be traded as a reined-in slave into the jail system. And the jail system is number 4 on the stock market, people.
Wow.
So what we think our world finances are based on and what we think is going on in our world is completely an illusion to what's really going on. And this goes back to the idea of what people call the straw man, which is the wrong term. But it does give people an understanding of what the realities are when you think about the court system and the judiciary system, which is really sad because there's a lot of good men that probably go in, and women that go into legal system thinking, they're going to make a difference in this world, and they want to do right by the people. And they realize that when they get into the system, it's not at all what it's paraded as.
It's all just to make profit, for that corporation, acting like a government, as those Aussies that have been on Lisa Harrison's show lately have come out with that video called "What the Fuck FUQ." Fantastic video.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you got to watch it.
Yeah, I will.
2 Australian Commonwealths, and there's it's just a mess over there.
But yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up, and I will look into it. But this is it. And then, Heather Tucci comes out with this foundational truth that who we are being, we need to get out of, it's like a sticky, goopy illusion, and it's covered and drenched all of our realities, and we need to get out of it. And she just takes a pen and writes a line across the document, and she's like, false, illusion, crap.
Well, she knows she knows who she is.
Well, yeah, and
and understands the illusion. She understands the illusion. She understands who she is, and she says, "This is who I be. Who do you be?" like Vatican and
Well, and I want to,
all the
yeah, and I
rest of it.
want to say a few things about Heather Tucci. I want to say that you can get really, really caught in this weird paperwork world, and it's horrible. The energy that comes through the judicial system is a life force drainer, and that's why lawyers are trained to not care. They get in, they get out, they skim, they do not invest their life force into the case. Because if you do, there's this like sentient interdimensional being that patrols, seriously, the grid of the judicial system. And if it senses you plugged in and investing your life force energy, it's like, oh, goody, we got a live one here, you know, like, woo, we got something plugged in, let's drain that sucker,
Battery.
you know,
Yeah,
and
like
it's
the Matrix
horrible.
almost.
Oh, it's horrible, absolutely horrible, and it's intense, very, very intense. So for somebody like Heather Tucci, who's gone through as a prosecutor and seen the illusion and had the balls to pull herself out of it and the balls to step up and say, you know what, this is wrong, this is human trafficking, and the balls to like demonstrate and just simplify it. We are sentient beings. We are beings. And this is illusion. This is crap. This is false. This is not my reality anymore. And here's the thing. From my ability to skim all these different people that are coming out of the woodwork right now, who've been in this arena for like 10 plus years, investing their life force into this, some of them are a little territorial, and some of them are a little criticizing and, you know, maybe a little ego. Some of them are a little like jaded because they've put in a lot of time, and this is horribly draining. And so if they're donating their time for free, it kind of gets, in their perspective, I'm guessing, self-defeating, because they're like, well, here I am helping everybody, but I can't support myself, right? Because this isn't a job. You don't go to school to become a system buster, where you know, break down the illusion of the judicial system. You have to do it almost in secret, right? So we've got all these pods of people who've been in this industry of system busting the judicial system for 10 plus years, and it's a very scary place because people can get arrested, right? And so it's a divide and conquer thing happening still in the system, where you've got these wonderfully knowledgeable people all working separately and not together. And I from an outsider perspective, that's just somebody learning all of this right now and like skimming through this, surveying the territory, I see that this system is so complicatingly ridiculous that everybody has to work together to overcome it. And maybe that's a beautiful thing. In order to organize and to, you know, transform, we'll have to do it as a unified force. And maybe that's, you know, the darkness that is propelling us together, is to get our shit together and get over ourselves and find a way to make what's the priority and stay focused. Because when we start dividing and conquering each other, it's horribly sad, and it's happening because this energy force is coming through the paperwork and through, you know, the people, and it's just like, oh, intense and horribly intense. And so I did this kind of nosedive into this world, trying to figure it all out for a month, and then all these wrenches got thrown in, and I had to stop, and I had to move myself and this 87-year-old man. I defined, you know, a way through a will of being, and I've done it. So here's the update. I've found suitable housing for this man that he's very happy with. I've involved, you know, a social worker and adult protective services. I managed to get Bill's car fixed, thank goodness, with your help, everyone's help. I managed to pay a person in the city that I'm living in for their time to help me with the formatting structure of what is local and how to produce paperwork that is format friendly to the system that I'm trying to submit it to so that it gets in the door. Yeah, so, and you know, that's the thing is I can only offer what I can offer in the moment. And what I want to share with everyone who's been so wonderful supporting us, Bill and I, what I want to tell everyone is that right now, when you look at your accounts and your estates, the best thing that everyone out there can do is start a will, a non-probate will. Because if you look at the world of the accounts and the estates based on the bonds and the birth certificate bond and the trading of your account, it's a fictitious paper world, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, the
It's all paper.
Yeah, well, the corporate fictions, like the names that they
Yeah,
make up that we think, like our
exactly.
names, are actually corporate entities that are registered with basically the birth certificate. That is
Right. And
basically, and on bond paper that
so
creates
it's
all the trust.
paper and it's fictitious paper
Yeah,
reality, okay?
yeah,
So what everyone needs to do is give their fictitious man
yeah,
a paper free will voice. And that's what the wills do. By writing your will
yeah,
and registering it in the court system,
mm,
you are acknowledging that your estate has free will and a voice.
yeah.
So everyone needs to take the time and figure out this
What
process.
they
And I
stand
will
for,
tell you,
basically.
yeah,
What their terms
and
and
that's
conditions are.
exactly. And, you know, it's not belligerent. You don't have to be belligerent. It's not an aggressive thing. It's just saying, here I am. I care about myself. And in this, you know, illusion, we look at the paper of a will and you think, oh, you know, somebody's taken the time to, you know, document their wishes when they die, right? Well, okay, sure, that is happening. But there's all this fiction world out there that we have been distracted by the, oh, I use this eyeshadow because it makes my green eyes pop, and watching these stupid reality, I don't even know what we call, and the TV shows where they're interviewing people, and it's like, oh, so tell us what's so important in the world right now. Well, blah, blah, blah just got, you know, a Grammy, and oh, wow. You know, it's like, ah, we are so inundated with distractions that we don't even have wills. How many people out there listening right now have wills? How many people have taken their wills and registered into the court system, either through the county recorders or, you know, wherever you can do it in your, and it seems like each state is different, but this is very important and we need to do this. And it's non-aggressive, it's non-belligerent, and it's the first step to taking accountability for our accounts and our estates,
Mm, yeah,
which is cool, right?
yeah. We need to do it. We need to get our shit together, basically.
Yeah. And if I can go through 2 months of torturous hell and share that one little tidbit with everyone, that's great. And thank you for your support and love and well wishes and letters and books and time and thoughts and prayers and money, and, you know, thank you. And why this is so important is because this is the thing about Cindy Brewer, is she's come forward, Cindy Brewer, she's come forward talking about how, you know, how when we look at the alternative technology, the reverse technology, and, you know, free energy.
Yeah, suppressed technologies.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, okay. So we have, you know, the illusion in our day-to-day world when we walk around that there's this necessity, right? And really,
yeah.
there's all this technology that's 10 plus years ahead.
Oh, 50, 100. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly. But let's just say 10 for
yeah,
like
yeah.
humor's sake,
Realistic
right?
sakes.
But really, yeah, you're right. It's like 50 to, I don't even
Yeah,
know, who knows, right? Um, I mean, you have people like Paul Hellyer, the former Minister of Canadian Defence, coming forward saying we've had alternative technologies for years, like since the 40s, and our governments are suppressing it for oil and gas purposes and financial purposes. And, you know, enough's enough, because this planet isn't going to sustain if we continue to be this idiotic, you know, caterpillar consumer mentality of more, never enough, never enough, never enough. Eventually there's going to come a day where we need to transform into butterflies.
Yeah.
Right? So, so that just for a framework, if you look at because if you look at things from a fractal pattern, like the Mandelbrot pattern or the implicate order or the golden mean spiral, the pattern is the same in the small as it is in the big, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can identify, one pattern somewhere out there, for example, the technology, the free energy technology that's really available that's being suppressed, what we think we have access to based on what is really accessible or really going on behind the scenes. Okay, now take that and apply that to the financial structure.
Oh, yeah.
What we think's happening in the financial structure of what's backing the dollar and what's actually backing the dollar, or what's actually going on, is totally different. And what Cindy Brewer is proposing or coming forward with is the fact that the human genome program was, I mean, it gets really complicated, because then you start into the origins of man and why we're here. But right now what she's saying is the DNA is actually what's backing the dollar. And the blood banks right now are offering Ebola soup for blood. You know, they're cloning. I mean, Kay Griggs in her 1998 interview says they're cloning people. In 1998, she said that. You know, this is a Christian woman that's all, you know, in her ideals, and she's talking about them cloning people in 1998. You know.
Well, I know that ever since at least I think the 30s, since that big crash, I mean, when they supposedly come out with the birth certificates, you know, they took everybody's gold. They were supposed to give them access to those birth certificate bond trust, you know, Sesticate trust, with the House Joint Resolution 192. But apparently they didn't. Of course, they then come out with World War II. They tried to suppress everything. And then I think JFK tried to come out, you know, with Sukarno to try and free the people, but then he got taken out, you know, so it's just been an onward game. But, yeah, what was I trying to say there? Basically, yeah, they were supposed to give us access, I mean, to that financially, but this other thing, you know, just basically the Federal Reserve and their lackeys just put a shutdown on it and kept, I think, everybody in Congress.
Have you heard that the Titanic sinking had a majority of people that were opposed to the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, I did hear that was like a Rothschild thing or Rothschild-Rockefeller thing set up in order to sink their enemies. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just,
wow.
Well, that would have been, what, 1915 or so? Was it, or a little bit later?
I won't pretend to
Not
have
long
a brain.
after Federal Reserve was started, yeah. I think it wasn't long after the Federal Reserve was started, yeah, so yeah, it's a tangled web they weave.
It is, and so here's the thing. You see things like the Pope resigning. There are changes happening, you know, all of these,
in the last
there's things happening, right?
Time.
How do we, because what if there are good judges? What if there are good people? What if there are, you know, I don't know if that's possible. Maybe I'm naive, right? Maybe they are just all mafia banks or mafia, you know, fraudulent banksters and mafia fraudulent judges, and they're all just in it for money and, you know, gold or drug trades and blah, 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 right? Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. But what's more important is how do we get to the solution, right? And as a society, we're always oh, don't look at the solution over here. No, look at the problem. It's the problem. It's the problem. The problem is really bad. Woo! ooh, don't do anything. You might be too scary. You can't solve it. No, don't look for a solution. Don't talk about solution. Just be looking at the problem right there. It's
Exactly.
really big.
And feel bad and therefore create more bad things because your
Duality.
feeling is the prayer. Yeah,
Yeah, duality
exactly.
and polarization. So the question is, what do we need to do?
It's a spiritual solution to every problem.
And, thank goodness for people like Heather Tucci, and thank goodness for
Yes.
people like Cindy Brewer, and thank goodness for people like you, and thank goodness for people like Bill, that are coming forward. And, this is scary. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a manual. I didn't get go to a weekend workshop and figure out how to rescue your husband
Yeah.
course going on here, like
Exactly.
I I just have my intuition. And you know what? I started reading Michael Jacko's, hold on,
Yep.
Michael Jacko's book. He was one of the original SEAL Team 6 members. It's called The Intuitive Warrior. Wonderful book. In it, first chapter, he gets right into talking about how when he was over, working in the green zone and escorting people, diplomats or whatever, when they would cross out of the green zone into the red zone, he would do what he calls a mental scan. But it's probably more like a heart-based scan. And he would check for any residue feeling of danger. And if he picked up on anything, what he would do is he would send love.
Exactly.
This is a SEAL member, like, ooh, boo, rah, yeah, woo, kill, yeah, hardcore.
I think you will find a lot of people that are in jobs like police, security, um, even security of a nation. The people that live to tell the tale are those that actually believe in a higher power, and they're probably probably more spiritual than we probably know. Like I've just been talking to someone who's really close to me, and he's in a similar situation. He was also an ex-Marine, a fighter pilot, and I found out he actually uses the same techniques. And he finds out when he doesn't do, like, ask for higher help or whatever, for blessing or whatever, that's when things go wrong. And so
Yeah. Well, and I that's the hard part for me right now is I've been racking my brain, and I talked to my moderator who is spiritual in all of them are, but and I'll say it's not my will. I'm here. I'm not. It's not my will. It's the will of Source or of the Earth. Like right now, I feel like there's no explanation how I even got here, and I don't understand it. And
love,
I try not to get stuck.
attraction.
Well, it's more than that, though. I mean, geez, the amount of stuff that's happened this year. I mean, I haven't even seen him. I haven't seen him this year. Like, what? I got like 3 months with the guy, and the first 3 months were like under duress, where he was, feeling like he was being set up and
Yeah.
completely emotionally shut down. So it's not like we've had this, sordid, wonderful romance. It's been like, the whole
Yeah.
time. And that's what I'm saying. There's no logical, and I'll say this to Bill all the time. There is no logical explanation of why I'm still here. Because really,
Yeah.
if you were in a heart-based,
Well, logical, you mean?
if you were in
Mind-based.
heart-based analyzing,
Right.
then it makes sense. But if you're in logic, there's no logic.
How
There's no
you've
logic.
survived for a year on vapors, basically, and I've been saying
And
the same thing.
and it's scary. This is real, and I don't know if I'm even being effective. I don't know if people are benefiting. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. I'm showing up.
People
Um,
are.
and
Everybody, did you listen? You probably didn't listen to Heather Tukey's latest interview. I think it just showed up on KP,
no,
KP's website last night. I listened to it when I went to bed. I think it was with some chick from the UK, and very good. You'll love it for the energetic references
Well, and
made in
that's,
that.
I really salute her and I commend her because
Yeah,
she simplifies it and she makes it very clear. Like, we are beings, and we are not doers, we're beers, we're beings, and we've been inundated with this hamster wheel of life, like work, 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 too busy
yeah.
to have a family, too busy to figure out what's going on in the world, too busy to care, too busy to try, and it's like,
But we're all like parts of this diamond, like out of, you remember that the X-Men, that lady, that chick who could turn into herself into like diamonds?
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, we're all like an individual diamond in that body, and we're all working together. Like nobody's sort of more important than anyone else, but we're all a part of the whole. And I mean, I totally agree with that view that we're all working together in order to, you know,
So what
experience
is,
this and
what
to
is the
wake
solution?
up to ourselves. What's the
Scott,
solution?
you're a beautiful man, and I want to ask you, what is the solution? What do you think has to happen next? Do you think there is something clear that should,
That's
transpire, or
It's hard to say that, and I think it's hard for me to say, what everybody needs to do. I mean, everybody is here to be like, be and do what they want to be and do, basically. Um, and but I mean, when we come down to it, um, ultimately, I think freedom is one thing that we can all that we may all resonate with, and then it's just then stepping down from that and going, well, what can I do in order to help towards freedom, basically? Um, and there's so many things people can do. Uh, it's just do like what Bashar says, follow your highest excitement. You know, that's the shortest path. I mean, I can't. I mean, learning, from Bashar and people like that and Heather, just follow your heart basically, and that's it. um,
well, and here's the thing. There are powers at behind the scene at play that we don't see, right? Interdimensionally.
yeah,
And I'll tell you, they've whispered in my right ear a number of times, and I literally am being guided.
okay, you didn't freak out.
No, no, no. I listened, and
Well, that's good.
uh, yeah, but I mean, when you're up in a mountain, secluded for a year, and you're getting like,
Voices in your head.
it's like, uh, well, it's not in my head, but it's like this thought, and it's,
Yeah,
you know,
it comes from a higher place. It's not
oh,
your
and
doesn't mean to be your
I've learned
logical
to listen
mind
to it though the hard,
thought process. Yeah,
yeah,
it
and
could be your higher self. It could be angels, whatnot. You know,
mm.
GFL. Who
So,
knows?
but what I want to tell people is a few things. Bill has a sentencing hearing on the 25th of February. So that is in how many days from now? A week today,
Yep, 7 days. Yep,
because today's February 18th.
18th. Yep.
Um, so this is what I'm trying to, why I'm doing this video today. I gave myself 3 days off, because it wasn't actually, I've had people that you and I know that I've been working with that have been like angry, violently angry with me, because I won't take time off. And I'll get up and work and work it and work it and work it and learn it and analyze and strategize and,
Okay.
and they've been like, Eva, you need a holiday. You need a break. You
I've
need,
been saying the same thing lately, and so has Drew.
Uh-huh.
We kind of feel like maybe through the law of attraction, maybe you attracted what happened to you, um, you know, because you're in this, I think, inner feeling of, I mean, if you analyze how you felt on the inside, do you think it was one of struggle, um, and you couldn't trust in source? Like it just got worse and worse as it went along? I don't know.
I don't know. You know, like I feel like I'm being guided. It's not easy though.
We thought maybe you had beliefs that it's supposed to be hard and you're a fighter and you got to fight.
And it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Um,
you have to work for a living, that type of thing. You have to work hard for a living, you know, just a belief. And lots of people, if they, you have to change those beliefs slowly. Otherwise, if you just go and walk out there on the edge of the cliff and try and survive without working hard, you know, without bringing yourself back gradually, then, you can.
well, I'm a bit of a different creature in that if you look on my Facebook page, I have a statement on the about me part of it, and it's like, I believe in the biggest big picture dream. I believe in thinking outside of the box of what people say
Oh, yeah.
isn't possible. I love saying, watch me. And
Yeah.
not from ego. Not, I swear to you, not from ego, but out of pure blissful love and enamoration with what is possible when we believe that there are greater possibilities than what we've been conditioned to. And out of sheer gratitude for being an embodiment, I love saying it's possible. Whatever you think is not possible is possible. And that is actually also what Michael Jacko talked about in his book, is that, in his SEAL team Hell Week, you go through a week of physical exhaustion and you're only allowed to sleep like 3 or 4 hours. And he comes to the realization that the human experience is much more infinite than what we've been allowed to believe is possible. And so to some people, they don't understand that about me, that I've, you know, um, I submerse into whatever it is that I feel passionate about. And it's never about being perfect, even though that's how people kind of see, you know, Jag would say, it's time to just chill the F out, Eva, and like, it's enough. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not yet. I'll tell you when, but it's not yet. And, like, it's not right yet. It's not done yet. It's not, and, so I can't do this alone though, and I know that. And I have been blessed with the support of all of you. And I've also learned the hard way that if I'm not doing YouTube videos, then people aren't necessarily knowing what's going on. And I apologize, but I don't know. I don't know. There's
You've
just
done
life.
best, and yeah, we all love you, and we're all trying to help you and Bill, and those even outside of their influence through, like, I can see the possibilities. Um, yeah, and you know, I've tried to be as kind as possible. Same, I haven't been getting angry or anything with you. I've just been saying, I really think you should do this. um, the whole UCC thing. So I was happy when Heather came along, and I'm glad that you really resonated with her, and then you started to pull your finger out and do that.
Well,
But
here's
then,
the
as soon as
thing.
you had the
Here's
paperwork
the thing.
ready,
Here's the thing.
you got sabotaged.
In July, you and I were talking about these things, and people were put into contact. Bill wasn't ready. His
Yeah,
passionate, um, belief.
to try and do things with
I
the
mean,
current
you're
system.
Australian, I'm Canadian,
Yeah,
right? We don't have the inundation from day one of the patrioticness that
yeah,
people who are born American, especially people who are born American that go into service of the country and they take an oath, they are, that means everything to them. And you try to tell those people that the system is so broken that it can't work, that's like heresy,
yeah.
you
Oh
know?
yeah.
That's
Not a lot of
hard
people
on
are like
them
that,
to hear.
but a lot are waking up to what's going on. Like I'm amazed at how many people, like half the people that I'm coming across, like they even start bringing it up with me. I'm like, okay,
Well, and here's the thing. I have a week and I need help. I need help for a number of reasons.
yeah,
And what that entails is two things. I need financial help and I need prayers. I need financial help because I need to be able to be mobile for safety's sake.
yep,
Because what I've realized is that I've basically been handled all year. I've had a handler, is what I've come to realize. And it's freaking me out a little bit, but it's
yeah,
fine. I'm out of it, thank gosh, and I'm making it public. Thank goodness that I can do that with people like you and for my radio show, but I missed, almost a full month of it. Um, so what I want to say is I need help, financial help to be mobile. And when I say mobile, we have the vehicle working, but I'm going to have to fly out of country, I believe. So I'm going to need the financial help to book a flight. Um, and
it'll
also to be
few hundred dollars basically,
and
at least.
to help Bill if and when things transpire in an effective way to help him relocate into someplace quickly. Um, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a manual. I'm doing everything by heart base, and I need your help. I need everyone's help this week, and
Yep.
so does he. And it might come down to that. How things transpire is in the courtroom, which that's anyone's guess. But we need your prayers. We need you to send love.
What does Bill need anything financially in order for this uh, thing coming up in 7 days?
Well, yeah. I mean, hopefully, I can get some financial help so I can execute things before the 25th.
Yep, yep,
But I need to be safe. I have a little boy who I have a commitment to first,
yep.
and
Sounds
this
like
is
you need.
not easy.
It sounds like you need a quick $100 or $200, like really quick, and possibly like in a matter of hours, and then another few hundred to 500 maybe, um, so you can get out of country. Um,
Well, and I mean,
yeah, which should be pretty easy with the amount of friends
yeah,
and support that you've got. I mean,
I and I mean, it makes me nervous to even talk about it publicly right now, but I think that you guys all need to know that I've been working my ass off. I haven't seen my son since, end of mid December, and everything I've done with Bill at the helm
yeah,
of all my decisions, to the point where I've been 120% service to others and
yep,
neglected myself, and then had to reach out and ask for help from my moderators who've been phenomenal.
yeah,
And there are other people that I won't mention for safety's sake because I just don't,
yeah.
But thank you to everyone. Thank you for your help. Thank you for continuing to help, because this is so important. In my mind, the archetypes, the archaic archetypes that our world is built on, including the one that had Bill be jailed in '98 on paper, fictitiously jailed on paper. Really, what they did is they could not court-martial him for double strike drone attack diversion because that was a political event. They could not risk court-martialing him for what he did. So they had to come up and find something else, that
something else that didn't bring a light onto the real problem.
Exactly. And annihilate his character, so if and when he ever tried to tell the truth of what happened, no one would believe him. We need to get this on, Democracy Now! I've been speaking to the Government Accountability Project, and this is something I want to document. Robin, Bill's second public defender, actually told Gap that Bill, recounted. Now, this is really important, and I want you to hear this. At the trial, the in limine motions that the prosecutor makes to make sure that you can't defend yourself, and removes all your options of defense, he was not allowed to talk about being a whistleblower. He was not allowed to be talking about anything to do with his court-martial. He was not allowed to, say he was in fear of his life in Vegas. The harassment. He was very limited on the things.
Why?
What?
You know why? There's one key thing you said there. He could not say that he felt like he was under threat, because that's what I hear a lot of people say. If you do bring that up with like a policeman or whatever, they're trying to arrest you. If you feel like you're being threatened or whatnot, and you tell them to note that, you can actually ask them to write that down, that you feel threatened or whatnot, and it can actually like void the contract with them, because they're not allowed to do that.
Under duress, yeah.
Under duress, yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
Will you please note that I'm under duress? And that can void that whole, and they're trying to, basically do a security exchange. And
well, and here's something that I want everybody to know. Bill did not give me very much to work with this entire year. It wasn't until the prosecutor requested the transcripts from the 1998 conviction that I was able to sit down and go through systematically what transpired in 1998 and get the facts. Now, here's something everybody needs to know. There are glaring neon arrows in those transcripts that say, right here, right here, right here. And when I asked Bill, when I finally went back and I said, whoa, wait a minute. Who's this guy, Ray? And for people who have followed Bill, he did a posting on lightworkers.org where he did his first chapter of his book, and he talked about
YouTubes out of them.
Ray and Crusher. You made YouTubes out of them?
I think out of his Lightworker postings. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I feel
Thank you.
that.
If you read that Lightworker posting, he talks about Ray and Crusher. Well, I'm going through the transcripts and I'm like, who's this Ray guy that says that you're being held up? It's a witch hunt, is what he testified in the trial, that this was a witch hunt. I'm like, who's this guy? And he's like, Ray and Crusher, these are my teammates, And I'm like, holy, you mean you had another SEAL team member testify that you were this was a witch hunt, and that doesn't get any, no coverage. Sweep that under the rug. Let's see, what about the NCIS officer that came to investigate, to take Bill's confession, who went on record to say that she was very concerned for the lack of care being shown to Bill, and that his confession was absolutely atypical from any perpetrator she had seen in the past 4 years of her service in the victim services industry, that his confession was not in alignment with those of perpetrators. She testified to this.
Okay.
So I go back to my husband and I'm like, whoa, time out. It's been a year. Why didn't you tell me this, husband? It's kind of important, blaring facts to back your story up. Why are you not telling me this stuff? And he said, because it's, it's hard, Eva, and I needed you to be along on this journey on your free will. And like, I could have killed him. I was just like, you made me boot camp my ass here. You gave me nothing. You gave me shit. Nothing. And I had to like learn it in a transcript, but I don't know, because I know that they did stuff to him. I know that they did stuff to him before they released him, and he's got these scars, and he, really didn't have full recovery until he hit 35, which is typical when the brain chemistry changes and the hormones break down the barriers and they start to remember in dreams. Well, he has all the MK Ultra, and I think it's hard for him to be able to go through it in a linear fashion. So the transcripts were a godsend for me, and I could have beat him, but I was like, why didn't you tell me all this amazing stuff, husband? And so what he did confide to me is that the transcripts of the 98 court case, the court-martial, were scripted. That he was basically handed a script to say, this is what you're going to say. Now, there's been a lot of controversy around what happened with this girl. What's the truth around this girl? Well, the transcripts have a script of what the truth is. And because these people who are connected to the girl and others, are very close to Bill's biological family, he has, for the sake of people he cares about, never gone into too many details. And this is really important because it leaves this glaring unknownness, right? And he's done it for the sake of people he cares about. And it's kind of like the reward after following my heart and not having any cognitive backup, just knowing in my heart that I'm supposed to follow, carry on, like put it in the file to be figured out later. And, to find out that the 98 transcripts were scripted, and to find out the real details of what was happening behind the scenes, which was when he diverted that second missile. And if you Google, I challenge everyone to get online and Google double strike, double tap, drone attacks. This is so key because in 98, Bill was court-martialed for diverting the second double strike, the double tap. And what that is they send in one missile and then they follow up with the second to kill the rescue aid workers and innocent civilians. And he diverted that into a mountainside, which was an international political event. And so instead of court-martialing him for that, they couldn't. They had to get something else. So they went through his psychological notes with his psychologist, who all of the Navy SEALs had to report to, Fonseca, and went through the notes and basically extracted what they could and used it against him, and approached the family of this girl and said, look, we know there's been some misappropriations here within your own family. Your own family is incestuous. And yeah, Bill transgressed, but if you put two hypersexual people in the same room together, they're probably going to have sex. If you put two hypersexuals who have been traumatized at young ages in the same room, they're probably going to have sex. Was it stupid? Yes. Did Bill make a mistake? Yes, absolutely. But what he didn't do was do anything against her will, is what Bill tells me. And so the way it goes is they approach the family, and a Mormon family, and they said, look, we know that your family is incestuous. We know that this girl was traumatized at the age of 6 by a family member. And we know that that is something you probably don't want out in the public. So instead of dealing with this, we can just take all of those issues and lump it onto Bill. Then that way, we'll pay your daughter's counseling, because she definitely needs some help. And you don't have to face the public scrutiny and the community of the Mormon culture that you have an incestuous family, and this person is not only raped this girl, but the boys and the other girls in the family. We'll just piggyback all the blame on Bill, because he's not a blood relative. He's just married into this, And what we'll do is we're going to get the last 3.5 years of his contract out of him, out of our multi-million-dollar investment, and we're going to put him back to work. We're not going to put him in jail. We're going to put him back to work, and we're going to get his ass back. We're going to get our money's worth out of this guy, and you will get some money to, take care of your daughter, and we're going to make this all work for everyone. And then, the day his 10-year contract is up, he's out of jail, which was 3.5 years. He was sentenced to 11, and he was out the day his contract ended. So there is so much that's gone on here that this man needs help. This man needs more people than just me talking to people. Like, we need to get this out to mainstream, because guess what's happening right now? Drones in the United States.
Yeah, I've heard, and they've been backfiring. It's been all backfiring on them. Did you hear about the one where? Yeah. Oh yeah, I shared it in my Facebook. This was like about a month, probably about a month or two ago. Yeah, American Kabuki showed it. He, yeah, I think it was maybe a police SWAT team tried to use this drone, but what ended up happening was it actually ended up taking themselves out. It was so funny.
Goodness.
Yeah, but there's been other stuff where, didn't you hear the reports from, I can't remember the guy's name at the moment, but anyway, they were, apparently, I think the drones were getting tampered with. Like the guys who were, making them, they'd go out for lunch and then they'd come back and then they'd be like turned upside down, the whole drone.
Interesting.
And yeah.
Well, and here, going back to why I just went into that rant, is because I want you to know that at his hearing, he after his trial, he had a hearing to see if he could get out on bail to prepare for the sentencing. And at that bail hearing, the prosecutor basically tried to retry him from the original conviction in '98. And so what he did is, based on the transcripts, ask Bill questions, because what the transcripts say are scripted reality, false scripted reality, that basically he had a gun to his head and they said, you're going to do this, or you're going to go in a hole and the hole is going to disappear and you're going to be Pat Tillman, basically, you're going to die. Or you're going to go somewhere and nobody will know where you went, and that's the end of it, right? And so under duress, he read the script at the 1988 trial. And the prosecutor used that against him, because if he asked Bill a question, if Bill didn't reply the same way he did in '98, then he would be guilty of perjury based on the two discrepancies, right?
Yep.
So he cornered him into having to say exactly what he said in the '98 transcript. And Bill had prepared his lawyer to say she objected, because if he used anything from the interview with Carrie Cassidy, she was supposed to object based on the fact that Bill put that caveat in the beginning where he said, for his own safety, this is all for my scripted book, And even in the lightworker.org post, he says, what happens if I tell the truth, but I preface it as a lie? Will that keep me safe? Do you know what I mean? So what I want people to know is that Bill needs help. He needs help publicly. He needs help, getting his story out there, and it has to be him that tells it. But you know what? We need to get him out of jail, or they will have him murdered in jail. We need to get him out. We need help. So that's my story. I need some financial help to try and get this guy out. I need some prayers, and I need to, trust in the universe and not worry about the how. And I just have to be open to receive, and hopefully the right people, I know they're going to see this video, and we're going to get people in contact with me and you. And the way to do that for me is if you're, we'll attach a link down there for the donations and my contact.
Yep.
And thank you so much, Scott, and thank you everyone for your time tonight or today or whenever it is that you're watching, and for your continued support and care, and
Yep. Yeah, West. What can I say? Yep, we'll do everything that we can. Thank you everybody for your help and continued help. And that's it for now. And hopefully we come back with some better news. More than a week from now?
yes, that would be great. Maybe it'll be Bill.
Okay.
It'll be husband
Yes.
doing interviews, and I can, not. All right.
Yep. Okay. All the best, Eva. And okay, let's stay in touch, and I'll get this
Thank you, everyone.
out there. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.